make it right, cause I'm getting tired, And even though I'm blessing things, I'm feeling like I need a change. No. Time to make you move, go and get your breakthrough. So what you feeling like? Get up, turn on the light, time to make it right. This is your new life. Come on, let's go. Change your whole headspace. Your past is not today, it is not too late. Find a mirror place, and then you say, be like, yeah, sexy good stuff. You want way more than enough, so go out and be great and stuff. Go out and do what you love, like, yeah, sexy good stuff. You want way more than enough, so go out and be great and stuff. Go out and do what you love. After 18 years, this job drive me crazy. I don't wanna live like this. I can barely get by. You better pay me, cause I'm stressed how I'm gon' pay these bills. So long now, can't stop, drama don't face me. It won't stay like this. Gonna get up, grind it till I've made it. No use being cheated. So what you feeling like? Get up, turn on the light, time to make it right. This is your new life. Come on, let's go. Change your whole headspace. Your past is not today, it is not too late. Find a mirror place, and then you say, hey, sexy good stuff. You want way more than enough, so go out and be great and stuff. Go out and do what you love, like, hey, sexy good stuff. You want way more than enough, so go out and be great and stuff. Go out and do what you love right now. Sexy good stuff. You want way more than enough, so go out and be great and stuff. Go out and do what you love, like, hey, sexy good stuff. You want way more than enough, so go out and be great and stuff. Go out and do what you love right now.
Whoa. I know y'all not ready today. Look, I got a treat for y'all today. Look. You know, look, we don't hop on Keep Living just all willy-nilly, right? Even though we have a good time here, there is always something beautiful cooking, but there's also something beautiful and structural happening. Right. And so there's a lot of meaning. So today I am really excited. So if you're joining me wherever you are, if you were in the Central and you were like, hey, it is 7:45. If you were in the East Coast and you're like, it is like 8:45 in my life right now. And if you were in Cali and wherever you else are, look, and you just trying to figure out where you want to be, it's 6:05. I just need you to just make some really cute little noise. And if you were watching this on recording later, trust me, you are not late, you are loved, and you are always welcome to get this information, okay? So welcome. This is the moment that we've all kind of been waiting for, a little dialogue about who this E.N.H.A.N.C.E team is that has been literally hitting softly your airways and probably your algorithms and so on and so forth. And maybe a little gossip column, maybe the thing that you got nervous about because you saw these young folk and you like, oh, them baby's young. No, actually, believe it or not, we grown. We grown. And so I just want to take the time today to invite you, welcome you, and introduce to you the E.N.H.A.N.C.E team. And I'm going to go through, I'm not going to introduce everybody elaborately because see, if I did it, it would sound all real churchy and Pentecost. So I'm gonna avoid that. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. I'm gonna ask, they can offer their names, their pronouns, and at the same time, their society that they come from and how long they have been in the movement. And then we will go into opening. Okay, so Anya, you are actually right here next to me. I'm going to just pass it over to you and look over your direction so that we are on the same page. Go ahead, my love.
All right, so my name's Anya Overman. I come from the Ethical Society of St. Louis. Started attending when I was 5 years old, so that puts me at about 25 years of membership. So I'm one of those that has been there for, a long, long time. And now I'm living as a digital nomad, but I still retain my membership to the St. Louis Society because I feel an affinity for that group, and they really helped develop me and raise me to be the adult that I am today. And really happy to be here today and talk to you all more about what we're doing with the Enhance team.
Yeah. So, Chandra,
Hey, I am Kendra Sears. I am a member of the Baltimore Ethical Society. I've been a member since 2019, but was sort of loosely affiliated for with it for several years before that. I am, yeah, I've been on the AU board for almost a year now, and it's been a really interesting ride. But I've been really excited, and I think reinvigorated by getting to know all three of you. And yeah,
mm,
excited to talk about what we're doing, what we're thinking. Yeah.
I've got my sibling over here giving me this orange, the vibe. And go for it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Dr. Hooper. I'm Anthony Cruz Pantojas. I use they, he series pronouns, and I hail from the Susquehanna Valley Ethical Society, where I had the honor of being a member, being an intern, and as of last year, being voted to be the associate clergy.
Awesome. And I am the J Exodus Hooper. I like to, I would like to say doctor, but I'm not that kind of person. I'll take characters over credentials. And so I'm just glad to be here. I've been with Riverdale since 2017. And so I've got a little, I'm a soft 8 year kind of cat in the movement, and it feels really good to be with these lovely folk today. And we're going to be a little casual, but we're also going and casual in the sense of I want you to feel welcome to get to know us. Things that matter, and the things that matter is where we are going in this movement, and who we are regarding this movement. Um, I will start off with just saying this before I go into the question. When the when it brought to my attention that we might have an opportunity to do something together, I was thrilled because as someone who has been in this movement and has seen various changes and some things actually needing some more undergirding, as well as some things requiring more attention, as well as things that were already going well, there was a chance for us to bring our voices together and offer truly an enhancement or some kind of vibrancy. Ethical culture was not dead when I actually started talking to these individuals. And there was something very powerful about that. I know others would like to rebuttal that, but they're no longer here to discuss that conversation. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask makes us work together for the good of this movement? What is a core value that makes us work together for the good of this movement?
Mm.
Anybody want to take your time? We're not going to rush. I want people to authentically are in this space. And trust me, as for some of y'all who are so used to being scripted, this is not scripted. This is off the cuff, all love and all what we do here.
I mean, I had the honor of being picked up, being seen by the Humanist Institute back in 2015 when I was still living in Puerto Rico and midway through my undergrad studies. Right, I read it through one of Rabbi Sherwood Wine's book and read the Humanist Institute, and I was like, does this still even exist? Because when you're reading books, you don't know where it is in the real life. And when I looked it up, saw the website, saw that it existed, I was like, I want in. right? As any fervent person, I'm like, I want to be trained. I read the mission, I saw the vision, saw the folks there, and I'm like, this is it, right? Because when I was growing up in the church, there's this practice or this notion of like you want to be the best that you can. And when I moved away from Christianity, I still held very deeply to the practice of like, if I'm going to be a humanist, if I'm going to be a free thinker, if I'm going to be a scholar, I'm going to try to be the best that I can, right? Holding to humility, of course, but trying to really enhance, no pun intended, right? My understanding, my practice, my credentialing, right? As we still move in this world in that way. Um, and this experience with the Humanist Institute quickly really allowed me to see that a structure existed where people, professional scholars, practitioners, clergy were hailing from many different spectrums within the non-theist community to train the present and future. um, Fill in the blank, right? Clergy, leader, scholar, practitioner, thinker. And for me, that was deeply appealing because for me really stated that we value difference, we value diversity, and we're really here coming together, right? Aside from all the mistrust or maybe issues that might be happening from human to human, we're coming together under the value of this organization to see not only a future but to co-create it together. And so when I as well saw the opportunity of coming into the American Ethical Union, both unofficially being in different events and different opportunities of speaking in different societies, and now more officially running for a board position, I still hold to that same philosophy of like we work well together because we honor our own individual journeys and not see it as a deficit, but actually see that our continued unfolding is actually not just a benefit to a board, but a benefit to our movement and our communities.
Yeah, I think like Jay, I was not interested. Well, before I was not interested in continuing to serve on this board, and when the opportunity or the thought arose that we could do this together, I was like, okay, I would give that a shot, because I think that what Anthony said, we value the strengths and the skills that each other, that we would bring to this, and that we have brought, right? Because that's Anya and Jay stood out to me as people who want the organization to really embody the values that it says it does and are doing the work to make that happen.
Mm.
So I saw consistency in how they were moving and what they were saying, right? Which was not what everybody else is doing, right? Um, but also like the aspects of who you are that that are not me, that I could learn from, and that I value, right? And I think that sort of diversity and really appreciating and wanting, being willing to work and listen to other people who have different experiences, different skills, and who is so important to this movement that is pretty homogenous, right? And I say this so like I'm in academia, and this is probably like one of the whitest place spaces that I've been in, and that is deeply concerning on many levels, because it says to me that there are things that this organization really hasn't worked through. Like if you are an organization in the United States of America in 2023 and you look this way, there are things you are actively not doing or actively doing to keep it that way, and that's a problem. And I also deeply believe that ethical culture has It I joined the BES because I saw it offered me something, right? It offered me comfort. It offered me a community, in a space where, I had moved away from Christianity, but still wanted a community that held, that that I have shared values with. And I see us existing in a world where we need more voices, to sort of to speak to that, right? To speak to how we honor and value and respect every person and try to bring out the best in every person. And really, really try to live that, because it's not, it's not an easy thing to do, right? But yeah, I think, seeing the scales in your experiences, Anya has been in ethical culture since she was a child, right? I had never, I mean, I think BS maybe had a couple of members who had been, but she has an experience that none of us, would have, is we all come from pretty religious backgrounds. Jay has the, I don't know if spirituality is the right word, but I think the joy that you bring, to the movement, and the knowledge and the, um, just this perspective that has made me really rethink a lot of things. Um, I love you for that, right? And I but I think yeah, there's this, um, seriousness, but also, yeah, we should be a joyful movement, right? And I don't think we've tapped into that, right? And Anthony, we haven't met. We've spoken a few times, but you're also like really in it, talking um, to young people, right? And their concerns, and how do you move through this world, particularly in the U.S. Um, if you don't have a belief in God, or you're questioning your beliefs, and all of that. So yeah, it's really refreshing, I think, to talk to people who, um, I can have conversations with, disagreements with, and at the end of the day, we're fine. Like we're still gonna text each other, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of what Condor said, because I am totally in agreement. I mean, it's really, I'm just gonna name the elephant in the room. It's no secret that our board is incredibly divided and extremely dysfunctional. And part of what drew me to you three is that you are trying to embody our values to a point that I think that a lot of people haven't been challenged to do that meaningfully in themselves. And there's really a modeling of behavior and of philosophy that is deeply admirable to me. I find that really, really compelling and inspiring. And it makes me want to be a better humanist. So that, I mean, really drew me to you three so much. Um, and I think that, I mean, look at us. We are very, very different people, the four of us. And we stay in very close contact because we really genuinely value the relationship that we have with one another, which I think has been largely lost in the leadership of our movement right now. I mean, we don't value relationship in the same way collectively, and it really, instead of bringing out the best in us, it's bringing out the worst in a lot of us. And the four of us, I know, really, really find it important to bring that back, to bring back the element of bringing out the best in one another, because, well, I mean, it feels great. I mean, that's why we come together, right? Like, we come for the joy of connection. And if we're losing that, then, like, what are we doing here, So that's what really, really drew me in. And it's honestly what keeps me going, like, through all of this stuff. And it's not been pleasant. I mean, I'm not gonna, sugarcoat it. It's sucked. But this group of four right here is my rock, my anchor. It's helping ground me personally back into my values that I know this movement values. So that's my 2 cents.
Look, I'll take the 2 cents. I'll take a quarter. I'll take $1, honey. Okay, if you got Cash App, Zest, Zeal, let me know. Let me know. No, let me stop. And I just so happen to be running for vice president, and so I know many are. This is I think one of the things that I hope to offer, as I go into this question, is that like there is a huge joy for me in doing what I do. And it is, I delight, I find pleasure in giving and offering folk a chance to engage their joy. It is literally the J factor. You cannot have joy without the J. We already know how that works. And so why this community of folk, like, I'll be honest. I mean, I've known Anthony since 2017. We kind of started out around the same time. And we were both mentored by David, the Reverend Dr. David Breeden, who mentored us and really helped us see ourselves from a space in which we could lead. I mean, somebody didn't see the leader in us. They saw the leaderness in us, the quality to want to add into contributing, right, as someone who could possibly lead, offer wisdom. And here we are, young, right? Young, for some, but like, I thought to myself, when we talk about young, let's name the numbers here, honey. I'm 39. I've got a whole life. I've been, so I'm not just young. I got bills. I got, I've taught, I've been in other careers before this. And so I'm not a spring chicken. Can I be culturally appropriate for my people and the Black don't crack. Okay. So if you had that moment, you're like, oh, that's what that is, honey. I don't look like what I've been through, but trust me, I've been through hell and back. And how do I why would I still offer a smile, laughter? It is not a sign of immaturity. It is not a sign of childishness. It is a sign that there is always something new and vibrant coming on the horizon. It is never because I am trying to undermine or change things. And I think why I wanted to work with y'all was because I really wanted to be with a group that could hold that as a structure, as a visionary property to organizational strategy. And if we consider what we do and the work that we do with joy, if it's not with joy, check this. I will serve with joy. Anya will serve with passion. Anya comes with a passion that is also situated in a strong heat. Y'all ain't ready, right? Because then it's like, well, Anya's angry. Anya is not angry. In the words of Nina Simone, Anya is not angry. Anya is intelligent. Okay. So when somebody's got passion because they know what they came from for 25 years, I need to align myself with that value. It matches the joy, the weight of my joy with their passion and fieriness, right? And here it comes, right? I'm sitting with Chandra. Now, if you ain't never set, I'm telling you now, if you never set with Chandra comes with a very distinct quality, which is a wealth of wisdom, discerning. Okay. So even when the joy is heavy and the passion is bubbling, check this. You got someone who's going to scan the room and read it very carefully with a calm and an ease that creates balance. Look, because anybody know when you cook in the kitchen, you can it look crazy when you got this many people in the kitchen.
It's true.
You got to know how to move. Okay, so you can't just assume piecemeal this together, which has happened past in our boards. People were piecemeal together, voted individually, and then you got to make it work.
Yeah.
Right? But here we see the strengths. Hell, and I know y'all see some weaknesses because y'all know I don't write nothing. Okay. I did it. I told on myself. Look, y'all be like, oh, well, how the hell you gonna be vice president? You don't write nothing down. I do. I mean, but I just it's part of my neurospiciness. Yes, neurospicy. For those who need to know, I'm dyslexic, and I'm happy to express that and unpack that later in another talk. But then you have people like Anthony. So then there's this beautiful discerning of peace that brings in balance. Here's the passion, right? We've got the passion, and then we have, of course, the joy. When Anthony comes in, I'll just be honest. Anthony is just very what it is. What it is. I don't need to see any information that's going to time my energy and my compassion and my passion. What I need to do is I need to get the job done. Anthony is very much so rooted in the function of service, right? So at the end of the day, how do I get it done? What needs to be done? And let structure. When I see this kind of team, there is vision. When I see this team, I see structure. When I see this team, I see it in service. When I see this team, I see flourishing. When I see this team, I see these things, and I can't help but to want to be in a collective called E.N.H.A.N.C.E. And you're probably like, well, what the heck is E.N.H.A.N.C.E? If you're catching this for the first time, let me just update y'all babies. Okay, E.N.H.A.N.C.E is an acronym. It stands for Ethicists, Non-theists, and Humanists align for new community engagement. Let me say that again. Now put your makeup on because we're going to enhance the face, okay? Look, it's an ethicist, non-theist, a humanist aligned for new community engagement. I would hope that we find a way to engage our community at large, and not just a particular age group, not just a particular race, not just a particular religion, not just a particular kind of class, not a particular kind of gender, no. When you say you came into ethical culture, you came into this movement because something about it was found in you, you found here. And that's why we want to encourage you to be with us. Let me ask y'all this question. Here we go. Because y'all know it's one thing for us to get voted in, right? But we got these scenarios on our tail. Now, we all know that we are different. We are all different. And we need to know, I don't want to know which one you're interested in the most, but what I would like to know is how would you go about serving or being in service to a scenario that was not something of your interest that you liked?
I mean, I actually got asked this question last week in conversation with a society member, not from my society. I was like, you do the work. I think if members of the assembly and their societies decide that this is a path that they want to go down, right? Our job, should we get voted in, is to make that transition happen as smoothly as possible. Like do the work and do it with integrity and be transparent about it. Like this, you said this is what you want, this is what we're doing, this is what's working, this is what is not working. And you know, because it is what it is, right? But I think part of like no matter what, I think there's a better way to function, right?
Yeah.
So regardless of what scenario gets chosen, it's like you do the work with integrity, and you know we'd have a 1 year term, right? Like a limit, and you yeah. I don't know. I'm curious to like because
Yeah.
I've thought about this, right? Like what do we do if it's something that we don't um but all honesty, I think there's something in each of the scenarios, right, that probably should be explored, right? I have a preference, but that's not to say that the other options are unworthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We should do our due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would add that, I mean, as you're saying, Kanda, right? Like we're voted in by an assembly, by a community that's in a way publicly saying we're really charging you with a responsibility to embody and practice and put in function whatever it is that we decided to do as a collective in this upcoming year, right? And however long you remain in that position. However, one of the trainings that you get when you're becoming a chaplain, very quickly you find out that it's not about you,
Mhm.
Mm.
right? It's not about, oh, I believe in, I don't know, humanism and this particular expression of humanism, and this is the care that I'm giving patients, and I don't care what they think, right? Because I'm the professional, I'm the expert. No, it's like you're coming into the space, and hopefully you're providing presence.
Mm. Mm.
And when I look at the scenarios, as Conrad beautifully stated, I see the same thing. It's like I don't 100% right align with one particular scenario. It's like no, I have read them, I see them, I look at the numbers, and I look at everything. And similarly to what you said, Con, right? Like I see the intentionality, I see the hours of work that has been put in by the people that have put forward these scenarios, and I take them at face value, right? That they want the best for the American Ethical Union. And then it's my responsibility, in collaboration, in partnership, in close proximity with the rest of the board, to decenter myself and really listen what is being said, what is being asked of me, what is being asked of the American Ethical Union from the people, and that we then need to embody.
Mm, that's it right there. Yeah.
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 Like
I mean,
decentering yourself is hard, but that's what needs to happen.
that's service, right? I mean, we're up for election to serve. So if we get elected, we gon' serve. So it doesn't matter what the scenario is. If we're elected, our mandate is to carry out whatever it is. So I think, yeah, just remembering one, service, and two, this is a democracy. We're not tyrants. We're not coming in here to like exact our will. We're coming in to represent the people that elected us. So that's it.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah,
I felt like the room got red. I wasn't even thinking anything negative, but if I was, it was sitting in the corner like this. Okay, y'all, come on. That I hope y'all heard that clear, clear. The landing on that clear. It is about service, and it is about laying aside and decentering this thing. Ego has really consumed aspects of policy and practices in our organization. People know people too well. Some people how to call in people that they love. Some people don't know how to call out people that need to be held accountable. Some people don't know how to be transparent. Now, look, I'm saying some people. This don't mean that this just happened at the AEU level. This happens even in your society. This happens even in your community. This happens in your home. It happens between your siblings. This is a normal practice within human relationship. Okay, so when we do ethical culture, we got to do it in right relationship. And right relationship says I got to decenter myself. Let me give you a little Howard Thurman, Dr. King's mentor. If you're not familiar with him, he says, I want to be me without making it possible for you to be you. I want to be me without making it uncomfortable for you to be you. Can you imagine having a movement that wants to decenter the voices that we think we should uphold to hold in relationship that should be uplifted? We're not only just a movement that is in service, we're in a movement that is in relationship, right? So we can't be pushing out, right, our international brothers and sisters. We can't be pushing out and keep asking questions around diversity and inclusion and think that because we give philosophy talks or history talks or because we step out and do social justice work that we are in relationship. No, 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 no. This here enhance is looking to engage, right? So that's looking at the root of relationship while being in service and not looking at it from two different ends. I'm in service to you because, yeah, I know you're marginalized. Mm-mm, mm-mm. How do I bring those on the margins into my table and serve them? Not what I want to serve them, but what they need regarding their humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I look, we sitting with brilliance in this space because we need to. I just want us to, because if you haven't, I'm so grateful to Justice Bovey, who is helping us today. She is on point. She is giving you the websites. So if you want to check us out further, I just want to let y'all know we have a question here in the chat. I want to, and if you want to, you can feel free to scan and just give, I mean, all of the things. Here it is. Kristen Hayton says, I'm curious if you have any thoughts on how the structure that we have perpetuates the lack of diversity that we see and what changes you'd like to see to that system. All right. Anybody want to take a breather and go into that gently?
Sure. I mean, it comes back to the question of presence. Again, you have to show up. And and that can sound very aloof, right? Like, oh, just show up. Because there are very systematic and structural and power dynamics that can preclude a person from the possibility of showing up. That is completely clear. And I myself have experienced that, right? However, what happens in this case, right, when you do meet other folks and you come together, not because you have this secret plan, right, and structure of, as Anya was saying, oh, we want to do X, Y, and Z and impose and decenter people that have been here in the movement for decades and deface our histories and whatever. No, it's the recognition that we want to reflect the not only the futures that are unfolding before us as societies. We want to present and embody not only ourselves but the people that are connected to us, meaning the present, the folks that are here, that are emerging right now, that are potentially seeking spaces of community. And so when I hear what are folks doing around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and justice, and belonging, and all these very deeply philosophical, right, work that it's permeating our society, I say we see it, we recognize both the beauty and the ugliness and the messiness of it, and also voice the fact that we are implicated subjects in these processes, meaning that we both benefit and sometimes are marginalized by the same structures that we're upholding, right? Either intentionally or unintentionally. But that's why, again, in that voice and that practice of diversity, broadly defined, we say, hey, Kendra's coming and saying, hey, this is what diversity looks like in this context. And Jay says, hey, this is what diversity looks like in this context, and so forth, right? And then we began to develop this broader image of what the potentiality is there to then see it hopefully materialize. But that also includes, as I've experienced in my society at SVES, we're coming together often, not quarterly, not every 6 months. We're coming in weekly. We're coming in through unofficially texts and emails, right? And constantly being in deep critical reflection of this dynamic of what do our members want? What do we need as a
Mm.
structure, as an organic living system? What do we then need to function as a living organism? And then what is that which do not see yet? Which again goes beyond the members, goes beyond the structure, and goes beyond those that are holding some form of expertise. And that is, for me, the dimension of imagination.
Don't do that. Don't do that, doctor. I hear you. I hear you. Don't do that today. Go to your room. You're already there. Uh, anybody else?
I think structurally, what perpetuates a lack of diversity is this, is this like this real strong adherence to, it's the formality. Like there's no, or there's very little camaraderie and a sense of collaboration, and very, I don't hope this doesn't sound harsh, but like narrow thinking. I think there's like, we've done it this way, we have to do it this way, like this is the protocol, like we follow the protocol, which I find like very not what I appreciate that, we're a 501c3, right? You have to have bylaws, you have to, there are ways of operating, but the current way of operating just sort of locks you into this. One, it doesn't really address everything, right? We've definitely encountered some holes, and challenges, things like you can't do, or that it's very difficult to do. But yeah, just like this rigidity that doesn't, I think, really allow, or make space for everybody, right? Not everybody can function in that, oh, like, well, bylaw, blah, blah, blah says
Yeah.
this, like, should, um, and sort of like leaving things open to interpretation, or like just being more imaginative of thought. And I think it's very, I think culturally, um, if you don't deal with like, I think people, what I think is people are sort of removed God and just sort of replicated a structure that looks very similar to like a church on Sunday.
Ooh.
So there are a lot of things that come with belief in a deity that haven't been rooted out, right? And I think that is also a part of the problem. Like, um, there are a lot of patriarchal behaviors, a lot of like, um, attitudes around gender, right? Attitudes around race, right? Very aware of the fact that I probably get treated the way that I do because I am a woman. I have my PhD, right? And I speak this way because, you guys aren't Bahamian. If you were Bahamian, I would be talking like very differently, right? So there's like switching happening. And I probably speak differently at work, right? But I'm very conscious of that fact, right? And
Mhm.
people love a PhD, you know. I don't know why, but because the struggle, right? And so I think there are all of these like behaviors that just haven't really been, that don't get talked about, don't get addressed, and people think, oh, we're progressive and we're very liberal, but haven't really examined like some of the, why aren't we talking about, I mean, NJ, like ethics, with regards to sex, right? I think there's just so much that just hasn't been really examined.
Mhm.
That people want to keep it sort of like intellectual, like keep it very heady, and that has its place. But I think I don't think we've really cracked how to make our values relevant today, and really, yeah, really unpack that. And changes that I would like to see is just more curiosity, like more, um, like if something is different, you are uncomfortable with that difference, like sit with that uncomfortableness and think about why it makes you uncomfortable. Like and I think that's how you, when we talk about diversity, right? Like if you can't be, and if you can't sort of appreciate people's differences, or talk about your differences from a place of respecting that person's difference, I
Hmm.
think that's where I see a lot of conflicts. It's like, no, this is the way we do it. So you, with your different culture and your different ways of thinking, you're not gonna, you know, fit. Um, but yeah, I feel like I said way too much there. But
No, that was all just
We need all of this. All of this we will eat today, right?
yeah.
All of this we will eat. If you came here today, you came to eat. You didn't come here to have a snack. You came here to really eat and really also sit with what is really the audacity of hope.
mm,
We've got to put it out here.
Mhm.
And I think it's very clear. Anya, I don't want to take up space, please.
No. Yeah, no, I was just gonna tack on to what Congress said and what Anthony have said about the way that the structure is set up. I mean, we are very top down oriented.
Hmm.
There's a lot of consolidated power in the president role. I'm just going to name that. And that is something that Chandra, I don't know if you want to jump back in here and talk about, how you would envision it be different as, you in that role. But I'll let you stew on that one for a second while I answer this question. But the other thing that Condra mentioned was the rigidness, the really just almost on bureaucracy, and I really
Mm.
think that is a result of falling out of prioritizing relationships, because if we had these relationships, if we were really invested in the connection and making sure that we are in right relationship with one another, we wouldn't default to this bureaucracy, and we would be more inspired and to dream bravely and courageously and imagine and vision and have all of this creativity really like bubble to the top. But because we don't have that, there is a lot of fear, there's a lot of distrust, and we are clamming up and holding on to our bureaucracy real tight because we're all really scared we're going to not weather this storm if we don't hold on to it real tight. So the changes that I need to see in this are, really getting back to these values of representation, of democracy, of making sure that we really are exercising what it is that we value, which is relationships, which is making sure that voices are heard, and making sure that, we aren't drowning people out because we're afraid. And this is hard work and it is scary,
Yep.
but we need bravery desperately. And another piece of this is that we in this movement, we don't have a mechanism for addressing conflict effectively. And as a result, we've really built this really intense culture of conflict avoidance. And when conflict comes up, it's met with a lot of resistance, a lot of denial, and that is taken as gaslighting to people on the margins. And I think that needs to be said. We need a mechanism for dealing with conflict. And frankly, I think restorative practices is a wonderful mechanism for going about that. Because if we just move through this system trying not to make mistakes, we're definitely going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
We need a way to handle those mistakes when they are made so that we can get back into relationship with one another rather than letting it, fly off into the ether, and then it just stews and stews and stews. And here we are with all this dysfunction and this division because we have no recourse for managing these, conflicts. So that's my piece on that.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I want to add to the brilliance in the room is that I think Adler had a really great idea. Look, Kristen, don't you dare apologize in this space, honey. No, 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 no. You ask as many questions as you want, okay? Because that's why we're here today. Because other folk need to be asking questions. Look, what I wanna name is that this movement has been called ethical culture. If you ask anybody most of the time in any of the societies that I visit, if I ask them 9 out of 10, what is ethical? They can never describe it.
Yeah.
They can never name it. It is probably one of the most annoying things within the framework of what we try to do. We try to name something that really is so much of a concept that is often in practice that it is challenging. So why do I go there? I go there because I think from, if I may sound philosophical for a minute with Adler, I think ethical culture is a great idea, right? I think ethical culture is a great idea, but I want to do something different, if I may, when I think about what we try to offer. And if we're going to reimagine systems, as we talked about imagining and being curious, be curious with me for a second. Embrace that, this concept of what would it look like if we were practicing cultural ethics,
Mm.
right? Cultural, having that tangible ability to engage practice, to engage language, to engage customs, to engage food, to engage fashion, to engage religion, to engage history, to engage civilizations, to engage understanding. Like that becomes a cultural world that then, if we lead with culture and then ask the question, what does our ethics call us to do?
Yeah.
We began to look at policies and procedures and we say, who's missing from the table?
Yes.
We began to look at gender and to look at disabilities and those, and we began to actually start working on the framework that says, what does my ethic call me to do? My ethic is just another word for saying, what does my justice call me to do? What does my love call me to do? What does my humanity call me to do? What does my spirit what does my spirit call me to do? What does my occupation call me to do? What does my education call me to do? Because if I'm going to bring my ethical self, I'm going to bring my whole self, whether you like it or not, because I'm a cultural ethicist. I'm going to engage with the property of humanity and the foundation in which it is built. And I'm going to call myself into decentering myself to ask the question, who am I in service to? And who do I need to be in relationship with? Right? For me, that's what the system requires. That's what the AEU requires. It needs to be a fortified organization that takes the society and looks at the structures of the current societies that they are. All the classical music and the folklore that you're playing might sound nice to your ears, but who else does it bring in? It might look nice if you like to play a guitar, but did you decide to bring in a DJ? It might look like it's all right to talk about philosophy and Hegel and Heidegger and Kierkegaard. That sounds, I'm glad you got the degree to do that. Can you break it down for my grandmother? Can you break it down for sister girl down the street? Can you break it down for those who are just coming straight from another country? Can you do that? Can you meet them where they are? And if our policies do not meet people where they are, and then and I'm not talking, hear me clearly with this structure. I'm not talking about cultural competency. I'm talking about cultural humility. That's when we lean into the curiosity about each other's humanity, that you cannot assume who I am by what you see out of your eye. You have to ask questions about who I am. What are my pronouns? What is my origin? What is my location? Who are my family? How did I come to this way of being and becoming and belonging? That I want to be present with you. My ethic calls me to do that. So I think we're in a season where we've got to shift ethical culture to being more so a cultural ethic, and that we bring something to the world that has meaning and also creates matter. Yeah. Right? So look, I see we've got a lot of questions, and you know, and I know we don't have a lot of time and things like that. We could keep going. I just want to, I want to name, I just want to see here, Kristen, I see your question here. I feel like I have a lot of responses of why this fight is worth taking on. Come on, talk about legacy in this. For those of us who focus on growth and youth, D here, what's your why? Let's end with that. What is our why? Why are we doing this?
I I believe in world building. And that process of world building, as you were saying, Jay, right? Like pushes me and calls me to recognize what is the brilliance that I'm bringing into the space. And also, what are the areas of growth and limitations that I bring with that brilliance? And how is then my character being centered in a way that's always being nurtured, that it's always being stretched, that it's always being challenged, and always asking the why of who am I visibilizing when I am in the space, because I am more than just myself.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, who am I not seeing yet in this space? And how can I facilitate that? And if I can't, then how do I decenter myself and utilize the people in the space to hopefully make that happen?
Yeah, I think my why, just to name really fast, I came to this movement in 2017. I think one of the things I would like to name is that, my why, and I'll put this in conjunction, and anybody else feel free to do this. I didn't think about this when Anthony was speaking, but my why and the why I'm seeking the role of vice president is because I have been serving the National Leaders Council as an NLC representative on the board. In addition to, I would be named and positioned as, quote, president of the National Leaders Council. Though I can name these titles, one of the things that I realized that every in a different position or role, I was still considered to not have enough in a movement that should see my humanity and dignity as enough. Now, this sounds very different, and I get this might be culturally different, but if anybody grew up in sometimes traditionally a Black American home, we often come from the antithesis of how things happen. So, yes, it does sound negative, but what I want to point out is that because of the way that I'm able to socially understand my body in the midst of oppression, I have to take on the antithesis and make sure that I structure and equip myself to serve better than what the oppression looks like, right? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in position. I'm not interested in the title. I'm interested in being in position so that I can serve. I'm interested in being in position so that I can change the narrative. I'm interested in being in position so that I can have rich discussion and dialogue. I'm interested in look, check this, watch this. I'm interested in so I can be held accountable. I'm interested in being in position so that somebody can offer me feedback so that I can do better and actually practice better practice. Right? I'm interested in being in position so people, when they see me, they can call me and say, I know who you are and I know what I can expect of you because of the quality that you serve. Right? I want to be that person. That's why I don't worry about credentials. I worry about character. See, you won't get behavior out of me. You'll get character first. Character is already innate in me. Behavior is a response to a situation. What I want you to have always at the forefront of experiencing me as a vice president is that I'm going to lead with character and that I'm going to make sure that I represent the movement in a way that and here's where the why comes in. The why says, how for me to be in position so that I can collectively take the voices that are missing and bring them to the forefront. And so, as I serve this movement and continue to seek to do better in this movement, I will not only take my marginalized voice, I'm taking those also in the Appalachia region. I'm taking those all the way in the Allegheny Mountains. I'm taking those who are the white working class. Look, it ain't just, come on, can we talk for a few minutes? I want to focus on Black women, Black trans women who are being murdered in the street, and nobody's going to look for their. I want to consider those who are on the margins on a global scale, who are not able to have fresh water, and you got little children sitting there excited about water just blowing up from the earth because water is life for them. I want to be able to serve them in ways and meet them in ways and have these discussions. Our board and this crew here to actually then influence societies to take part in making real, not only local change, not only regional change, not only national change, but global change. Yes, it's big. Is it scary? Do you think I'm scared? Baby girl, I wake up all the time scared. Do it while I'm scared. I take all that makes me fearful and I try to reach for my fearlessness and I make it fierce. That's what we got to do. We got to take what is making us fearful and what is also allowing for us to go past our fearlessness and say, let's make it fierce. So when you step with me, that's as being vice president. That's my why, because I'm fierce, honey. And we got to be fierce together.
Yeah. So to touch on Anya's question, I don't think a president should have that much power. And I think even more importantly, the president's job is to, gosh, I am tired now searching for the word, delegate, but also like make space for people to share their talents, and bring those to the forefront. I really strongly believe like that, and and that is how I would operate. It's not this, like, I'm not looking for a second job, I'm looking to have conversations, facilitate, yeah, and hold that space, right? Because I am surrounded by people who know things that I don't know, who have skills that I don't have. There's no reason in the world why I should want to take on all of these things. And my why is, I think about, I did not have like a very traumatic struggle with Christianity, but I'm from a deeply religious country. I have, deeply religious family. And I think my why is like making that space, being there for people like me who are looking for a community that shared their values, but that, that didn't come with all like the baggage that a lot of religions come with, but that's really what it is about. It's like helping to hold this space and maintain it and help it grow for me. But yeah, so Anya, guess you'll close us out with your why.
Yeah. Mine, being someone who lives nomadically now, my value around community has only increased. And having those connections that help deepen my relationship to who I am and and in my growth is really my personal why. But I want to do this in a collaborative way. I don't want to do it in a top down way. I don't want to be someone who is elevated above the people that I'm serving. I want to be standing side by side with everybody that wants to be doing this work. I don't want to be up here. I want to be on the same level. And that's really my why is it feels so deeply meaningful to me to have that be a collaborative experience and deepen connections to one another through that collaboration. And as a secretary, I think recording how we get there is some of the most important content that we can have as an institution. I mean, how how we get there through our collaborative process is worth documenting so that we can learn from it and grow from it and have memory of what we've been through. So that's my why for specifically for secretary. And I think we all kind of share that collaboration value, the four of us. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I am. Look, I gotta just thank y'all. We are on a time crunch. We are going to try to think this through some more. There is some more stuff. I want you to, next time we're gonna get it, and we're gonna get it out super out. We're gonna get it out early. So it looks like we might be having a part 2. So if y'all want a part 2, I'm excited because we're gonna come with more real raw questions. And I want y'all to see and look at it like this. Our movement has always taken the things from the raw. And because that's what we do, right? We literally take on what it is and what's happening. And the more that we have these conversations, the more visionary we can be and more strategic we can be. I just want to thank y'all so much for joining me. If y'all are available next week, hopefully that will work. We will do this again next Tuesday at 8. But you'll see this. So follow the Keep Liv'n page so you can get more information. And we can figure out something. Okay. So Justice, give me my music. Yes. You're worth it. Ethical culture, you're worth it. American Ethical Union, you're worth it. All you societies, you're worth it. Do what you love. Thank you so much, y'all. Love you. Love you in the process called life.